collapse. Literally, this is when your body goes on fire. And this is actually showing that the low frequencies of the spine liquid pump, known to be the absolute biophysics of Kundalini, are also, these are called the long tidal, mid tidal, and base nominal, and the Mayer wave. These are the known frequencies of the spine liquid pump, absolutely the wave mechanics of bliss and Kundalini, and absolutely golden ratio times Planck, and absolutely perfect charge collapse to implode, tuned to Planck. So the spine liquid harmonics, the breath harmonics, the heart rate harmonics, the brainwave harmonics, the Earth Schumann harmonics, guess what? They're all one equation. What is that equation? Perfected charge collapse to implode into the stillness. And that's how we do our whole course on the biophysics of Kundalini, which we just made a professional series of videos, all at goldenmean.info/Kundalini. And that actually ends my little show. We're planning for mostly dialogue this evening, and I'm looking forward to Alexei's comments. But just to summarize, in if maybe just one sentence, what I'm saying is, perfect relaxation, allowing you to compress, implode, and propagate using attention into that longitudinal array, sometimes called the lucid dream, sometimes called the collective unconscious, sometimes called the Akashic record, sometimes called the communion of saints. There's too many names for it, but where are the electrical engineers? We're here and we need to know. And so when you implode, get into that perfect relaxed superconductive stillness, it allows you to inhabit and get leverage on that array. And that is tremendously empowering, as Russ has more experience talking about than I. So that was my little shtick, and now we open the dialogue.
Alexei, is there anything you'd like to comment on? I have, a few questions myself, but I'd rather, everyone get through with asking first before myself.
Well, there's honestly like 100 things I could be saying right now based off all that. But what I thought was interesting was the collapse of the array towards longitudinal propagation, you could say. I like to call that laminar flow. So basically, you could say that occurs at the different stages, right? So we have alpha, we basically have delta through fast gamma. And if you map the circadian rhythm in that dimension of density, so basically you could say that each harmonic is related to a rotation of some sort within a fifth dimension.
Absolutely.
You're talking about this vortex, and you're talking about how it's variations of phi. So you'd have like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. And so you have your spacings, and you only catch laminar flows at the certain intervals.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
That fits so well. We just did a whole series, 50,000 views, on the physics of portals and stargates, all of which starts with the fact that the surface of the portal stargate is a liquid surface, the point at which phase conjugation liquefies you.
Right. It's that laminar. That's where it becomes laminarized. Yeah. And so what I was getting at, though, is if you map out each one of the individual spheres, so if you map out a delta rotation, a theta rotation, an alpha rotation, a beta, and you put them in a tidal locking within a fifth dimensional vortex, you see that they align in certain patterns. And so then you can relate that to the circadian rhythm, right? And when you do that map, you see that basically we do delta, theta, a certain time interval, and then you switch through alpha and beta, so a tight loop, and then back out into delta. And so that basically symbolizes your consciousness is similar to a gyroscope hanging on a string at a 90-degree angle while orbiting through that vortex.
I think that's a lovely metaphor. And we might say further that the way we model superconductivity in DNA and all approach to what is the next dimension, it's always only a superposed axis of charge spin rotation. And that shows up in the frequency signature, obviously. And once you get past tetracube, which is 7 superposed axes, then to rotate any further superposed spin coherently, you can only do it by golden ratio. For example, cube into dodec is golden ratio, and then ratchet to dodecadown helix, which is map of DNA, is golden ratio. And then you braid the braid to the braid on the braid, always by golden ratio. So every time it is a superposed axis of spin symmetry, the only definition of the next dimension, absolutely right. And I think the idea of laminar coherence at the limits of each superposer is useful. In fact, that's not just the Stargate physics, but actually the threshold to all language of what is the next dimension. And
experiences.
Yeah.
So another thing too is that basically you could say that perfect center, I like to call that the golden spot, right? And so I'm sorry, what was your name again? Russ?
Russ is here, yes, Russ.
You were talking about how basically people get instilled with thought forms. I like to call those delusions. And each one of those delusions is basically a spiral of creation. And they'll get you caught, wrapped up in a spiral of delusion, right? Someone else's want, don't want, assumption, or expectation. And so as you remove delusions, the I ams, you basically spiral back to your center point, which is your golden spot of creation. And from there, basically anything you want, don't want, assume, or expect will be manifest. So that's just how, that's what Russ was saying earlier too.
It was external programming. Yeah. Once you get rid of the external programming, start looking within and having the center point, going from within, other than thinking, oh, they said this, or this is happening over there. What are you seeing? What reality or vibration are you projecting inside that is manifesting this?
Self-implosion?
We're born into fractals of delusion in a way. Like we're literally born into different flows of space to begin with, right? And so you have to become aware of those flows and then, remove those delusions as you find your way back to center.
And the physics seems to be beautiful in that at the implosive center, only the shareable wave survives. So whatever can pass through the implosive center is absolutely the physics of pure intention, which is serving collective survivals.
And everything else just like rust away, right?
Is burnt clear, as it were. Yes, the metaphor is all the physics fit the psychology and the spirituality. It's beautiful. So, Dave,